Hello and welcome. Welcome to Quilt Conversations Live. I'm Geraldine Wilkins, the Living Water Quilter. I'm so excited to be with you for another fun conversation about machine quilting. So, how is everyone? Hello, Lori. How are you? So glad that you're here. And Jacqueline, good evening to you. Awesome. Oh, you're camping. You're at a campsite. Awesome. Yay. So it is the middle of summer, or is it the end of summer because the kids are going back to school? I imagine many parents are already with their kids getting back to school. Lori, are you back to school? Are you back teaching? I know you are a educator, so I assume that you are back as well. I have been busy, busy, busy working on all kinds of fun projects. And some of that happens because of you. That happens because of you, because of quilters like you. And I am excited to share how, yes, okay, Lori, you are back to school. Tonight's topic is about, is it worth learning free motion quilting? So we're back to school. Is it worth learning? Some probably think no, and some think yes, and others think maybe. Which one are you? No, yes, or maybe? Either way, let's have a conversation about free motion quilting and whether it's worth learning. I'm learning. I'm going to say yes. To me, yes, it's worth learning. Hello, Rochelle. How are you? Happy Friday. It's another date night. So, what are the things that will help us move from maybe and no to yes, it's worth learning? And how this came about was because someone signed up for the alphabet design course. No, that's not correct. They signed up for other courses. They didn't take the alphabet course. But I thought, based on our conversation, that the alphabet course was ideal for them. But I wanted to see what they did pick. They picked three different classes. One had free motion in it, another one was about machines, setting up your machine for free motion quilting success, and one was about threads. So that got me to thinking, hey, Laura is here. Let's see, did I miss Laura? Welcome, welcome, Laura, if you're here. I don't see it in the chat. Did I miss it? Okay, maybe it's Lori you're thinking about. Yes, it's Lori. Definitely, Rochelle says it's worth a try. It's kind of like beets. You don't say that you like it until you tried it. Let's see, beets and free motion quilting. I've tried beets and it's still a no. Free motion quilting, it's a yes. But I did try beets. Maybe it's the way they were prepared. I don't know. Sometimes the way something is presented or prepared can change our opinion, either for the better or it can maintain the opinion that we have. I'm hoping tonight that I can change your opinion if it's a no or a maybe to a yes based on four pillars. Four pillars of free motion quilting. And the person who signed up for those three courses signed up for the pillars. So that's how I came to tonight's discussion because ultimately, after she and I had a conversation back and forth, she is now in the alphabet course because ultimately she wanted all four pillars. What are those pillars? These are, I call the pillars to a free motion quilting success story. So the first one is avoiding common mistakes, and we're going to go into each one in detail. The next one is machine setup. That's pillar number 2. Pillar number 3 is needles and thread. And the last pillar is learning and practicing. So we have 4 pillars for free motion quilting success. If by the end of this conversation, I'd like to know if I've changed your mind about if you're a maybe or a no, if you are willing to commit to avoid the common mistakes, to learn how to set up your machine without fear and trepidation, to take time to learn about needles and thread, and then commit to learning designs and practicing. Maybe free motion quilting is for you. Maybe it's for you. So we're going to go through them one by one tonight. Let's see. So Lori says, I think of it as the next skill level, an extension of knowing your machine. Yes, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think that we, as quilters, we have multiple levels of learning, and that's for anything, right? It really applies to anything. But for us as quilters, first it's knowing our machine for how to piece fabric together to make a quilt top design, learning how to cut multiple layers. And this should remind you of the 10 steps course, right? 10 steps to stress free machine quilting. So free motion quilting is just the next step. I know for some of us, once we finish the quilt top, we're like, we're so glad it's done, and we want to move on to the next project. We're not as excited maybe about free motion quilting. Maybe it's because we haven't taken time to think about how we can learn. What is the process? And these four pillars are, I think, are going to help you even if you have already started. You might get some reminders of the things that you want to commit to when it comes to shoring up that foundation for free motion quilting, because ultimately, like Lori said, it's an extension of our creativity in quilting. It can help you in so many different ways in terms of how you creatively finish projects. It's just another tool. Before we get started, let's play bingo. It's been a while since we played bingo. If you are new here, all you need is a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil. So let's play quilt bingo. And all you need is a piece of paper, and you're going to do 3 lines across and 3 lines down, 3 across and 3 down. Once you have that, I'm going to put up a bingo card, and for every one that you say, yes, I'm willing to commit to learning, I need more help with that, and I want to learn how to do that or solve this problem, you're going to put an X. And this involves machine quilting, whether it's free motion or ruler quilting, which is a sister, right? It's a sister to free motion quilting. Ruler quilting is just changing out the foot, right? It's guided free motion quilting. So get your paper. Let me know in the chat with a ready that you're ready to start playing. Piece of paper, do 3 lines across and 3 lines down to make a grid. And every box that's revealed, if that is something that you want to improve, you're committed to learning, put an X. And the first one who has 4 across, 4 down, or diagonally wins bingo. So we have some readies. Rochelle is ready, Jacqueline's ready, and Lori's ready. All right, here we go. So, what are your challenges in machine quilting? And this is part of our discussion of why it is worth it to learn free motion quilting. If you're learning free motion quilting, that gives you a leg up on ruler quilting because you have success at setting up your machine. But maybe you're just starting acrylic ruler quilting and the ruler is sliding. Are you having challenges with starting and stopping when you're doing free motion quilting designs? Is that something you want to learn? You're committed to improving. What about just quilting by machine in general? Maybe you are a quilt by check person, but you want to do some more projects at home. Do you have challenges with batting selection? You want to learn more about batting. What about basting? How is your basting process? Have you purchased a ruler foot? You already started free motion quilting, but you want to jump into ruler quilting and you need a ruler foot. What about fabric prep? All of these have an impact on our results and our experience with free motion quilting. Your fabric prep. Are you using the right ruler foot? Maybe the ruler foot or free motion foot you're using, it doesn't give you the visibility that you need to complete a design. It's hard to see. Are you learning free motion quilting patterns? How are you doing with learning new free motion quilting patterns? Is that something you want to learn? Remember, you're putting an X wherever you want to learn how to do something or improve. Yay, Vera's here. Welcome, Vera. Does anyone have bingo yet? Maybe someone will have bingo soon. Any of these you want to learn, you want to get better at, you want to be able to get the results that you want by learning these different techniques. Hello, hello. And what is BIM? I'm not sure what that is, Rochelle. Oh, that means bingo. Okay. Rochelle has bingo. Yay. So, even if you didn't get bingo, I would suppose there's at least 2 to 3, maybe 4 of the 12 items here that you want to learn, you want to get better at. You are welcome, Vera. Welcome, welcome. So, sometimes we need to assess where we are in order to move forward. Is free motion quilting worth learning? No matter where you are today in your machine quilting journey, you can still look at these 4 pillars to find out what is next for you. Are you shoring up your free motion quilting so that when it's time to quilt that special quilt, you have put in the work? You have learned about needles and thread. You're not falling prey to those common mistakes that many of us fall into, like fear, starting and stopping over and over again, so that every time we start again, it's like we're starting all over from the beginning. You have put in the work on practicing how to move your quilt under your machine. You have practiced different free motion quilting patterns. You've learned them, you've practiced them over and over again. So now that quilt is under your machine and you are ready and you are confident. That's where I would like to get you to. So let's talk about those 4 pillars. The first one is common mistakes. What are those mistakes? And it might not be a surprise for those of you who are veteran Quilt Conversation Live viewers that, let's see, where is it? Okay, here it is. That there are 3 big mistakes that we make. That we let fear win. We don't want fear to take over. Fear can prevent us from taking the next step. Don't let fear win. I have to tell you over and over again, over my 60 years of living, I have been in situations where I had to do it afraid. Let me know in the chat whether it's a work situation, it's a travel situation. Have you had to do things afraid? I am not a mother, but I imagine that those who have had children, excited as they are to be pregnant and to have a child, the idea of childbirth may be fearful, but it didn't stop you from having a child, right? Number two is giving up. Many of us give up before we even start. This is a common mistake that we just say, oh, forget it. It's just too hard. I'm not even going to try. And then maybe you try and then you stop because you've had one or two challenges. So you give up. So either you give up before you even start, or you start and you experience one or two challenges and then you just stop. Don't give up. These are common mistakes that prevent ladies from going to the next step in their quilting journey. And then failures. Everything in life, when we grow, involves learning from failures. The best thing to do is to learn something quickly is to fail quickly. Fail quickly. All right. I also like to know, if you cook, remember the days when you were first learning how to cook and you made a dish, or you tried a new recipe, or you made a cake and it fell, didn't rise, or bread? We failed, but we still cooked, right? Awesome. Yes, Jacqueline. She has done things afraid and not going back. I love that. Not going back. When we have failures, think of them as stepping stones towards success. So the quicker I fail and learn from those failures, the quicker I move towards success. Failures are learning tools. And this avoid 3 mistakes in machine quilting is so important, because we have to change our mindset about machine quilting, and specifically free motion quilting, in order for us to move forward. We're not going to embrace fear. We're going to do it afraid. We're not going to give up. And we're going to embrace when we fail as an opportunity to learn. Yes, Lori. Ice cream goes well. I love that. With most failed baking items. Exactly. Now, Lori, you make jam, and I've had the pleasure of enjoying your jam. I imagine that you've had to try this over and over again with different fruits to get the right recipe, to get the right type of jam. Have you had to do that multiple times and you've learned from each one and you have improved with the next one and the next one? Yes, I would say yes. I'm going to answer for you. I would say yes. So that's the first thing. Now, let's avoid those common mistakes, right? Let's not let fear win. Let's not give up. Let's let failures help us move towards success. They become ice cream toppings. Lori, I love it. You don't let anything go to waste. I love it. So, what is next? Let's see. Machine. Our sewing machine. As a young sewer, I didn't know how important the machine was. I just thought all machines are alike, right? The features, how it operates, all of it is alike, and it should be easy. Now, my niece, she might not like this, but this week I sent a pattern to her that I thought she and her daughter could make. It's to create headbands. And from my perspective, it's a simple, easy pattern that the two of them can use to learn together. They are both new to sewing machines. Now, I had briefly showed them in a recent visit, and I trust that my niece, who is a school teacher, will learn when she's ready. But it just reminded me, when I sent her the pattern, it was a video tutorial on how to make them. She said, if I could only remember how to operate the machine. We take that for granted. Think back to when you first got your machine, and any new machine that you get after that, we have to relearn the machine, right? I know, Jacqueline, it's funny, isn't it? We could so Lori is learning from those failures that she can use what she's made from baked items, just top it with some ice cream and you're good to go. The jam becomes ice cream toppings. There's a theme here, Lori, on ice cream. I don't know if you noticed that. Do you like ice cream? I'm going to say yes. So my niece said she did not remember how to operate the machine. So I sent her some videos on the specific machine that I found on YouTube. Someone had compiled a tutorial series for that specific machine, which I was happy to send her to help her in her journey, because we need to take time to learn our machine. Let's take a look at free motion quilting. This is the video sped up. That's the machine quilting success course on my website. Remember the lady I told you about who purchased 3 different classes because she wants to be able to set up her machine for success? She wants to learn about needles and threads, and she wants to learn and practice free motion quilting. All of these are pillars. Remember, she's already established the first pillar. She's not letting fear stop her. She's not giving up, and she is going to use her failures to help her move towards success. So she signed up for those 3 classes, and this is one of them. This is setting up your machine for success and learning about tension. And this is all in the video. So in the video course. So Lori, Jacqueline, Rochelle, all of you are in the alphabet course, and this is in the course. This is part of the master course on free motion quilting, the alphabet course. So if you had any trouble with your machine, you could always go back to this because the principles are the same. Someone asked me, even though I'm showing this machine, a home machine, and then a long arm, and they don't have the same machine as I do, could they still learn? And the answer is yes. You can still learn, because some of the things that every machine have that are common are thread, needles, tension, right? Feed dogs. The only difference is how you change the settings, which you're going to use your manual for. We need to know how to operate our individual machines. You can still learn through this course how to set up your machine for free motion quilting success by following my consistent and successful machine setup routine. I give you all my secrets of how I set up my machine for free motion quilting. I spend every single session doing exactly the same thing, no matter what I'm quilting, matching my needle and thread, having a full bobbin that's tightly wound, checking my tension, and going through the process. It is so worth knowing how to set up your machine for success. And I show you step by step how to do that. I cannot emphasize enough that we need this pillar. We need to know our machine. Have your sewing machine manual handy. We need to know how to set our tension and not let tension master us. Not to be afraid. Hi, Kathy. So glad that you're here. Good evening. Welcome, welcome. So we've talked about so far 2 of the pillars. One is the common mistakes that we're going to avoid. We're not going to do those. We're not going to be afraid, right? We're going to move forward. We're not going to give up when we get started, and we're going to learn and practice, right? So we just talked about machine setup. We need to know how to set up our machine, whether it's free motion quilting or any other machine type of stitching. It could be walking foot quilting, it could be piecing. All of these require specific knowledge on our machine so that we can successfully get the results that we want. But in, let's see, how do I say this? I shouldn't say but. In addition to the machine setup, there's something that we need to learn. Hello, good evening. So glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Sharon. I think it's Sharon, or is it Sean? I'm going to say Sean of Savvy Designs. So glad that you're here. In addition to machine setup, something that I realized as I was learning free motion quilting was that I needed to learn about needles and thread. Who knew? Who knew that there were so many different types of needles? The needle tips are different, the needle eyes are different. The combination of those two give a different experience and will and have a different effect on the types of fabric that we are stitching. And then thread weight and quality. What is long staple? What is short staple? And why is it important to know the difference? Thread weight. Why do we need to know about thread weight? Think about all the beautiful threads that you have. Who has a rack like this at home? Do you have a thread rack? Do you store thread in a container like I do? Storing thread in a container helps it to retain its moisture and its elasticity. It doesn't dry out. Using a rack for frequently used threads is an option. And I have one rack with several threads on it. This is my actual rack in my studio. But what is the difference between piecing thread, embroidery thread, and quilting thread? Then what about the weights? Does it have a different effect on our quilting project when we use a thread that is 60 weight versus 30 weight? What about piecing? Would I use a 60 weight or a 30 weight? What is the difference? The thickness of the thread. Why does it matter? It does matter. So that's another pillar. We need to learn about needles and then thread and how the two work together so that we can achieve the results that we want. Here's an example I'll share with you. When I get ready, let's see, that's the wrong one. Let me do this one first. So here's a project. When it's time to stitch free motion quilting, normally I will use blending thread. I will blend the thread so that let me see, I'm going to get this video to stop moving for a minute here. All right, there we go. If you're like me, you probably want your thread to blend with your piecing. It hides our imperfections, it hides our mistakes, and we have beautiful texture across the surface of the quilt. Sounds simple, right? It is on a certain level. But notice how I have 3 different threads that are beige. I have 3 different threads that are in the violet purple area. Which one will work best in the quilt? Can I use one thread for the entire quilt, or should I use multiple? Those are different choices that we have to think about. Hello, Bonita. So glad that you're here. Welcome, welcome. And Jacqueline says that her thread is in a box. That is good to keep it hydrated and it doesn't dry out. I have mine in several containers, in a drawer, in plastic sealed bags. I have a combination, and I have the wall rack. But knowing what thread weight will work best with your quilt to achieve a certain look, which thread types, cotton, polyester, blenders, work better for the situation. Art quilt, baby quilt. What about denim quilts? Which thread is going to be the best? What about thread for big stitch quilting? So many options. Here's another example of a quilt that's black and red. The 3 red threads are all different. One is a 60 weight, one is a 30 weight, and one is a 40 weight. And one is cotton, one is polyester that looks like cotton, and one is a polyester that has a sheen similar to embroidery thread. This is another pillar. That is a great way to start, Jacqueline. That is how I always recommend for those who are starting free motion quilting, is to use the same thread, color, and weight in the top thread and the bobbin, and to use a thread that matches, blends in with the fabric. So we have so many options with needles and thread. And I always recommend is to start simple and then build on top of that. Start first with blending thread, same thread, top and bobbin, same weight, same color, and master how that combination works first. Adjusting your tension, your stitch length, whether it's a stitch length by a stitch regulator or by your own hand, and learning a design. When we have too many variables, it makes it difficult to determine where the problem is. So we want to eliminate as many variables as possible, because we can have a challenge when we have the wrong needle with the incorrect thread weight, or if we're mixing and matching thread weights and colors, that changes the way the tension responds. So let's eliminate that. If you're just learning, keep it simple. So learning about needles and thread is another important pillar. Before I go on to the last pillar, which is learning and practicing, let's do some updates. I haven't had a chance to talk with you about what is happening in the world of opportunities to learn and practice. If you didn't know, I'm teaching at the Pennsylvania National Quilt Extravaganza next month. It's just a month away. I can't believe it. And many of you are coming. If you didn't hear about it, I'm teaching acrylic ruler quilting for beginners. And I'm going to give a lecture from backstage to main stage, how to go from free motion quilting and slowly integrate ruler quilting in your final quilt project. And the best part about the lecture is that it's in the vendor hall. It's open to anyone at the vendor hall. It's at the open stage. So if you are going to the show, come by the main stage in the vendor hall and enjoy my lecture. It's going to include some live quilts as well as a video presentation. So I can't wait to see you there. What are the classes? The classes, one is Connect the Dots. I love this acrylic ruler template. It's so versatile. There's so many different things that you can create with it, like a bouquet of balloons, edge to edge patterns, beautiful patterns for multiple quilts, whether it's a quilt for a guy, a baby. You can have fun. An art quilt, it's such a versatile tool and so easy to use. And we're going to do it on a home machine. And the lecture, like I mentioned, you'll be able to see all of these quilts in person. And I'm going to talk about how I moved from free motion quilting and slowly began to combine what I know with free motion quilting with ruler quilting. It doesn't have to be complicated or complex for it to be beautiful. So that's the lecture. And then what else is happening? Who else knows what's happening in November? Do you remember? It's the quilting cruise. If you don't know about the quilting cruise, we still have a few spots left. You're going to learn multiple techniques. There are 9 different classes on this 9-day cruise. 3 of those days will be at sea, where you're going to have an opportunity to take 3 different classes, one for each of the days at sea. There are 3 instructors. It's going to be hard to choose, but this is one of the classes that I'm teaching. It's called Peaceful Portrait. In it, you're going to use decorative stitching, you're going to use free motion quilting, and you're going to do some hand stitching if you like. The idea is to have fun with different machine stitching techniques. This is another reason why we want to learn free motion quilting, because we have more creative options, and this is one. I can't wait to do this class. This is the latest in the series. I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, I think 4 versions now, and I have one more that I'm going to start working on after the quilt show. Can't do it before, but one more I'm going to work on. What's the other class? Oh, thank you. I'm glad that you like it. Thank you. So, and these are all going to be stitched on Janome machines. They're all provided. You don't have to bring your machine. And you get a chance to have fun with approximately, the cruise will accommodate 60 quilters. And so far we have 47, last count, which is about 2 weeks ago. It might be more now. So if you're interested, all you have to do is go to my website, look under events, and click on Quilting Cruise. I hope you can join us. What's another project? This is a hand class called Sea and Sky Strata that I'm going to teach. You're going to learn how to color fabric with a watercolor pencil. You're going to use one of your photos from the cruise, a sunrise or a sunset, and take the colors from that photo and create a strata of color. After you color it, we're going to activate those colors with water. After that's done and it's dried, you're going to hand stitch a beautiful sashiko pattern. So there are 6 different designs to choose from. You choose whichever design that you want. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's myself, Guyleen Fitzgerald, and Latifa Safir. We are all teaching on this quilting retreat at sea. It's the Eastern Caribbean 9 days, November 8th to the 17th. I think that those are the dates, the 8th to the 17th. For all the details, the brochure, everything, all the class descriptions, their classes as well as mine, just go to my website, machinequilting.live, and click on the events tab at the top. All right. So that is what's going on in terms of upcoming events. And I hope that I can see you at some of those. So what is the last of our 4 pillars? So hopefully, those of you who have joined us lately, I'll just briefly remind you that the first is common mistakes. We want to avoid those mistakes that we make when we're starting the journey for free motion quilting. These are fear, letting fear win, and not deciding to take the jump and learn. Not listening to the negative comments that say it's too hard, but instead embracing and doing it with fear, knowing that if you do certain things step by step, you will conquer that fear. You're not going to start and stop. You're not going to give up. That is one of the common mistakes. Ladies, give up. Don't give up. Machine setup. Learn your machine. The more you know how to use your tool, the better the outcome will be for every project. Oh, it would be fun to have you on the cruise. It would be fun. Yes. The next thing is needles and thread. This is another important pillar to learn about needles and thread. What type of needles to use. And again, we keep it simple. We learn the needle types that we can use on our machine. We learn the needles that we can use specifically for free motion quilting, and we stick with that one needle type, and then we vary the size. We use a 90-14, an 80-12, and a 70-10. Those are my frequently used needles. So when I buy needles, those are the three sizes I'm purchasing and one type. I like to use top stitch needles for free motion quilting. And I use three different sizes: 70-10, 80-12, and 90-14. And they are for machine free motion quilting, and those three different sizes match the thread types and sizes that I use, the thread weights that I use. Yes, Lori, I wish you could go too. The cruise would be fun. And thank you, Kathy. I'm glad that you like the peaceful portrait. The head wrap was just right. And that orange was hand stitched. And that was a new technique for me. I'm not necessarily a hand stitcher, and I said, you know what? I'm going to learn. And I kept it simple. When we're learning, we want to keep it simple, and we slowly build one on top of the other. So what is the last pillar of the 4 pillars? It's learning and practice. How do you learn? Do you learn better with in-person events, in a classroom with a teacher helping you through the process? Do you learn better with video guidance, step by step, a video where you can watch it over and over again? Do you learn better at night by yourself while the house is quiet and you can concentrate? Or do you need to have background noise, music while you're learning something new or practicing? Maybe it's a combination of those three or all of them. Maybe you need a little bit of both. You need in-person help, then you want to have a video where you can go back to and refer to over and over again. Do you learn better with technique classes, or do you need a project to help you? Practice. How do you practice? Too often, when some of us hear the word practice, we think, oh, I don't have time for practice. I just need to get my project done. If that's the case, include practice in the project. For some of my regular ladies, how many of you remember how do we practice? Do you remember how do we practice? How do we practice what we're learning when we're working on a project? What are the three things that we include in every single project? Who remembers? This is a test. This is a test. Who remembers what we incorporate in every single project so that we can continually learn and practice? Who remembers? Because learning happens little by little. Practice happens little by little, improvement step by step. Yes, Lori, that is certainly one of them. Every free motion quilting design we practice with 3 different sizes: small, medium, and large. And why do we do that? Because we have different areas in our quilt that are small, like sashing, that are medium, like borders, and then blocks that are large, and of course the entire quilt if it's edge to edge. So we want to learn how to stitch free motion quilting designs in various sizes to accommodate the space in our quilt. The other thing that we want to do when we practice is always practice something we already know. Most of the quilt should be quilted with what we know. It builds our confidence. But we also want to include something in that project that we are practicing, that we started to learn, but we need more practice. We're not completely confident with it, but we need more practice. So we include a little bit of that. And then the third thing is something brand new. If you do that with every project, something we know, something we want to improve at, get better, and then something new. 3 different things. Each one is going to move to the next. Something that was new will be something that we're practicing. Something that we're practicing will be something that we eventually know how to do and do well. And Rochelle says, pray hard and jump in. Rochelle, I know that about you. You just go for it, which I admire. Because that means you're not afraid of failure. And that means you're going to use those opportunities where things just don't go right to learn from it and do better the next time. So I love your attitude with that. But I also know sometimes you say you need to slow down. So follow your instinct for that. So Lori says she starts with a design and something we already know and add one thing at a time. Yes, exactly. And Lori, you are correct. Rochelle has really excelled over the last few years. I'm just thrilled for you, Rochelle, because you are committed to learning and putting into practice what you learn. So I agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what can we do when we practice? We can practice by having a formal way of learning and practicing. And that's where I come in. When you take a class with me or you come to Quilt Conversations live, it's an opportunity for you to learn about things, but ultimately, we have to do the work. And doing the work, how I have tried to put together for you those opportunities to learn and to practice, is in these 24 hours, 7 days a week available online courses, some of which many of you are in. So some recent ladies, like I mentioned earlier, has just started in the alphabet course and in the machine setup. There's one lady, which I'm so excited for her. She had sent in assignments every single day about her machine setup. This is what I've done. This is the challenge I'm having. This is what I've done. This is what's happening. She sends a photo. She says what the challenge is. We chat back and forth about what to do next because she is committed to learning how to set up her machine so that she can successfully, confidently use her machine to quilt her projects. She's doing the work. She is creating a strong pillar for machine setup. Some of the patterns that you see now are in this new course that you can learn some new free motion quilting patterns, learn some techniques so that you can begin practicing in a quilt sandwich, but in a quilt as well. I love that, Rochelle. We are not perfect and we do need help. We need help from each other. We need help in the form of encouragement, like Quilt Conversations Live. I'm here to help and encourage you, not only with tips and techniques, but to encourage you not to give up, to continue to work toward your individual goals. We all have different goals. I hope that the things that I supply in terms of conversations, pep talks, online classes, tutorials, all of that is helping each of you wherever you are. So the patterns that you're seeing now are in a specific course called Quilter's Canvas. Quilter's Canvas, a fabulous way to learn some new designs and then put them in a project. And you decide whether it's a runner or a quilt. And for those of you who are already in the alphabet course, all of these designs must look familiar to you because they're all based on the alphabet. The alphabet design course is the master course. For those of you who are already have a foundation with free motion, but you want to learn some new patterns, that's what this involves. Let me loop this. I can start it again. And I can show you, there we go. What are the colorways? These are all based on one pattern called the Quilter's Canvas Quilt Block. Beautiful, easy to stitch quilt block that allows you a canvas to showcase your free motion quilting, to showcase what you've learned, to help you go from practice to a quilt. So you're going to learn, you're going to practice, and then you're going to put it in the quilt. And you can use scraps, you can use yardage, or a combination. It's all up to you. But these are examples of how versatile this quilt block is. You learn the quilt block, and then you put together as many designs as you want. So I love this from Rochelle. Rochelle says the alphabet course, along with the conversations here, Quilt Conversations Live, have helped her keep motivated to keep trying. Thank you. I'm so glad. And I appreciate you and everyone, not just me, everyone here in the Quilt Conversations Live. We cheer each other on. And Rochelle just said so. And I appreciate, Rochelle, that you said that. Here is the original quilt that inspired this Quilter's Canvas course. All of the designs in this quilt were quilted with the alphabet. That's right, all with the alphabet. We do have great ladies here, Lori. That is so true. I can't believe that we've been doing this for so many years now. And it's a joy for me to see how each of you are growing. And all the new ladies that are now in the alphabet course and that are now signed up for various courses and handing in assignments so that they can be successful in machine quilting. They said, yes, free motion quilting is worth learning. It's worth learning free motion quilting. So, hopefully, if you are on the fence with machine quilting, that knowing that you can avoid those common mistakes of fear, of not giving, of giving up, and fear of failure, that you don't have to fear those things, that you can use those to help you go to the next step with machine setup, to help you learn about needles and thread, and then to help you to begin learning free motion quilting and beginning to practice and then putting it in a real quilt. And like I said earlier, this and other conversations that we've had stem from our conversations here at Quilt Conversations Live or someone that's in my course. And so I think that when someone mentions something, I like to come back to you and make it a topic of conversation and share with you via these conversations. I assume that we're not alone, that we have similar experiences or hesitations in things. And so I felt it was worth sharing with you that when we take that step toward free motion quilting, that there are 4 things that we can do. And once we've knocked out the common mistakes, we can begin the process of adding free motion quilting to our machine quilting experience. And so the lady prompted me to do something different. She prompted me to create a bundle of classes, because that's what she did. She said, okay, I want to learn about needles and thread. I want to know how to set up my machine for success. I want to learn some free motion quilting patterns and then put it in a quilt. And I want guided help on that. A place where I can start this journey, but not alone. That I can have a coach who can help me through the process, who I can speak to, who I can send a message to and say, hey, here's a photo. I'm having problems with my tension. Why? Ask a question about needles or thread. How do I combine those? Which ones are the right type for what I want to accomplish? We have these conversations in the course. Every single course, you have an opportunity for me to be your ongoing coach. Quilt Conversations Live is fantastic. We meet here every 2 weeks, the first Friday and the third Friday. But in between that, when you're in my online classes, we get to have this continual conversation. It is up to you to take advantage of this resource. Lori, Rochelle, Jacqueline, hand in those assignments. Let me know what you're up to. And Jacqueline, I did see your beautiful photos of your recent project. Well done. Well done. So if this is you and you want to get started with free motion quilting, do what Jacqueline has done. Do what Rochelle and Lori have done. They are in the Alphabet Masterclass, Alphabet Design course, which includes the machine setup, which includes the needle and thread video tutorials. If that specific course is not for you, we can do an a la carte and pick which ones you want, or because this lady lit a light bulb in my head, I put together a bundle. And that bundle is the free motion quilting bundle. You get a full conversation and the guide on how to avoid those machine quilting mistakes. Do you remember the guide? I didn't share with you that this guide, let's see if it will go on top. I'm going to switch this here to see if it will go on top and show you. This is the actual guide. There's multiple pages to help you in that process, to help you change your mindset about free motion quilting, about what is possible, how you can move forward. Sometimes it's easy to say change your mind, but what does that mean? What does that practically mean? This is what the guide does. It practically shows you how to change and move forward with a mindset of success, not a mindset of fear and a mindset to give up. So this is in the Avoid 3 Mistakes class, right? So that is first. That's the first pillar, right? The next one is the machine setup. And then needles and thread, and using Quilter's canvas to learn, and apply what you learn in a real quilt. This is now a bundle on the website. All four are included. It's called the Free Motion Quilting Bundle. When you get all four of these, you save $50. If you purchase them individually, it will cost you $50 more. But as a bundle, you save $50. And remember, for each course, you have an opportunity to chat with me as you go through the course, to send me photo examples, to have a conversation about your machine setup, to talk about needles and thread and what combination to use for your project. Oh, Vera, you're quite welcome. Welcome. Well, I'm sorry about the back surgery. I hope that it will be successful and that you will heal quickly so that you can get back to um, doing the things that you love. Okay. But thanks for letting us know. You are welcome to come back and watch the replays and join us for Quilt Conversations live. We are open and want any and everyone to join us. And if you're watching and not participating in the chat, don't miss out. There are beautiful ladies here that we've been gathering together for several years now. So we would love for you to join us. So let's see. Anything else in the chat that I missed? I don't think so. Okay, that was it. All right. Success on your surgery, Vera. The Free Motion Quilting Bundle. Now, remember, all of these can be separately purchased if you just need to know how to set up your machine, or if you just want thread and needle information. But this is what this lady did. She got 3 and then realized, you know what? I need all of these. So that's how we came up with our discussion tonight on the 4 pillars. And is free motion quilting worth it? And I think many of you who are here tonight live would say yes. You would say yes. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining me for another Quilt Conversations live, another date night. And if you're watching and you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the Living Water Quilter YouTube channel. And don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And don't keep it a secret. Share it with your quilting friends so that they can join us next time. You can always watch the replay. And if you're on Facebook, thank you for watching. Follow the Facebook page on the Living Water Facebook page. And leave a comment or two on any of the videos. I'll be happy to hear from you. And let me know how you're doing and how the different resources I share with you are helping you in your machine quilting journey. Lori, thank you so much. Have a good night and weekend. Jacqueline and Rochelle, so glad to see you ladies as always. I do miss some of our regular folks. Hey, Kathy, thank you for joining us. And Sharon, I think is it Sharon or Sharon? I know I'm pronouncing it incorrectly. Forgive me. Maybe I just need some help. I'm looking at it. It's Shon, S-H-O-N. So glad that you could join us tonight. Welcome, welcome. And Bonita, glad to see you as always. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. I'll see you next time for another Quilt Conversations Live. We're going to meet on the first Friday of September. I'll see you then.